Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
All right, so I'm going to take this tire off. Some of the caps have come off of this vehicle. So normally it's a 19mm socket we'd use to take these off, but because the caps are missing, I'm going to use an 18mm socket and a breaker bar. I'm going to break these free. So if your caps are missing, just grab an 18mm instead of a 19. And this last one has the cap, so I'll switch to a 19. All right, I'm just going to use an 18mm socket and a ratchet. Just make sure these are loose. Yep. I can take these off by hand. I'm going to take the tire off. It's on there really tight, so we're going to put a lug nut on. I'm going to take a large sledgehammer and I'm going to hit the tire from the back side. You can use a dead blow. There you go. I'll take this lug nut off and pull the tire off. All right, now we're going to have to take this cap off. I'm going to use a straight screwdriver. Just tap it with a hammer. Get in there. We'll have to pry it. Back a little bit. We'll try to adjust that back when we go to reinstall it. You can tap that back in place. And there's a nut right there. We're gonna have to take that nut off. Ready? We're gonna take this nut off. We're gonna use a 30mm socket and we're gonna use a breaker bar. Break it loose. Once it's loose, I'm going to switch over to a ratchet. That nut off. You can grab the drum, just rock it back and forth, go back and forth with it. And pull it right off. So in this assembly, we should have a cable that comes in here and attaches to this lever right here. This is what activates the parking brake assembly. So that piece is missing completely, so we're going to have to install a new one. And the process for removing the drum would be the same on the driver's side. All right, so we want to pull this heat shield down so that we can gain access to the parking brake cables. Before I do that, these are pretty rusty, so I'm going to use a little bit of rust penetrant on these retainers just to make it easier to take them off. I'll use over here. I don't think we have to go this far, but I'll get these just in case. We'll let that soak for a little while. Right, so I'm going to use some channel lock pliers to try to remove these retainers. Just loosen them up. All right, so I'm going to use a 15/16 wrench, and that seems to work pretty good. Loosen that up. Do the same for the other ones. There we go. I'll take this shield, pull it off the studs. Should be able to roll it down. There we go. And we don't have to take the front shield off, we'll just take that one off. And we can access our cables right here. All right, so this is pretty tight right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop the vehicle down so we can loosen this up, take some of the tension off, so we have more room to play. So we're just gonna loosen this up. Take our 10mm socket, extension, and a ratchet. Once we get all the new cables on and stuff, we're gonna retension it. All right, that'll give us some slack, so it's good right there. Use a screwdriver to pry some of this foam away from here. So what I'm gonna do is, this is where the cable is. I'll just twist this and pull that through, just like that. It's like a little T. Just goes through the center there. Now I'm going to loosen up this side of the cable. I'm going to use some needle nose pliers. Just squeeze these little tabs, pull this through, and there's a slot. And I'll do the same for this one. Squeeze that, pull it through, pull it down, just like that. Before I pull the cable out of these retainers, I'm going to go way back here. We're going to disconnect the cable on this side. Before I pull the cable out of these retainers, I'm going to go way back here. We're going to disconnect the cable on this side. If you come over on the other side. There's small bolts right there. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take this bolt out. I'm going to use a 7mm socket and a ratchet. We can grab the cable and pull straight through. So next we're going to take this bracket off. It comes with the new cable. I'm going to use a Phillips head screwdriver. Take this screw out. So our screw is stripped out, so we're going to just drill it out. Alright, so we made it through. Alright, we got the head off. Now I'm going to take a pry bar, just pry this down. There we go. Got that off. So the new bracket has a screw in it, so it's got a little piece that goes in there that holds it in, and then you screw it in. And so I'm just going to take and tap this up, get that out of the way. It should be in there. So I'm able to grab the old one with a magnet. So that's pretty much how it goes. Just remove this from here. And there. Here. It actually might be easier to take this off this bracket and slide it this way, just like that. We'll do the same for the other side. Okay, so if your vehicle still had this attached, this would be on the e-brake shoe right there. You would want to pry it up and pop this part out, that hole, and then you would take some like needle nose pliers, push down on these tabs, and that would slide that out. But then on this part, if this wasn't so rusty, what you would want to do is take a screwdriver, pull that tab up, and then take a little file or a little chisel and a hammer and push that little thing through there, and then it'll come out. But ours is really rusty, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it right here to get the cable out completely. Just like that. You could try to use some cutters, but generally these cables are on there pretty good, and it's pretty hard to cut through them. So Whizzer works the best. There's a couple different ways you can do this repair when replacing the parking brake cables. For us, the easiest thing for us to do is to remove the center console and disconnect the handle from the actual cable. So pull this cup holder out. There's supposed to be a screw right there that's missing on this vehicle. So pull this one out over here. We'll take this Phillips head screw out. Pull that one out. Over here on the back, there's a Phillips head screw right here. Take that Phillips head screw out. All right, so there's a little cover right here. Just gonna pull this cover off. You can use a trim tool or just use your hands. Pull that off. There's two Phillips head screws right here. Take those out. And then that armrest comes off. All right, so I'm gonna lift this up. I'm just gonna pull the parking brake handle up. And then with this up, I'm just going to twist it, just like that. Pull this out of my way. All right, I'm going to disconnect this electrical connector. Just grab it, pull it up, just like that. I'm going to remove these 10mm bolts right here. Use the 10mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. Pull that bolt out. That down. I'll pull this bolt out. And that bolt is out. I can slide this over. All right, so we're gonna install this new cable. The one that this little extra rubber piece is the passenger side. So to install this, I am going to take this out of the bracket like that, because it'll be easier to send it through all this area. All right, so we're going to send this side over here. Get this lined up over there. Before I position that in the right spot, I'm going to slide this end over here. It's going to come through there, send that through there, just like that. And then this can get lined up into there. And send this tab through here. Take a little screwdriver and I'll just tap it up there. Not too hard, but. Just get it in position and I can tighten this down. Before I slide that into those clips, I'll slide this in over here. Like that, push that in, and then I'll do the same for the other side. All right, so now I'm going to tighten this bolt up. This is a 8mm. Snug that up. Right here, we're going to put this 7mm bolt. Get that lined up. Use my socket and my ratchet to snug it up. Alright, so next we're going to install these pieces. So on the back side of where the drum is, there's a little hole. I'm going to slip this through that hole. And then there's a little lock tab. I'm going to push that in all the way. Just using a straight head screwdriver to help me push it in. Lock it in place. Just take my screwdriver and a hammer, just tap it in. Locked in. Next, we have to install this piece onto the parking brake lever right here. So we will pull this out, slide this into the hole, just like that, and line that up. You can pull this part of the cable out. All right, so now we're going to link these two together. Slide this little retainer in there, and then we can slide this in here, and you can just grab it and pull until it locks in, and that's all set. We're going to do the same for the other side. All right, so now we're going to connect this up underneath. I'm going to slide this way, then we can twist it sideways. We can connect this passenger side cable to there. And that's going to stay like that, just like that. This is the cable right here. So we're just going to, right, I'm going to put this little washer here. And we can put this nut. All right, we got that started. We can take the handle. All right, so we got this lined up. Get our bolt in right here. All right, I'll snug this up. All right, that's at least started. We're gonna try to get the other bolt in. The front side. Alright, so we got the front one lined up. Now we're going to snug that one down. We'll snug the rear one down. Tighten that snug. Then this one's snug. Now our cables are all hooked up. Just put everything else back together. I'll slide this cover back on. Just twist like that. Pull up the parking brake handle. Get the seat belts out of your way. And that's all set. Push that down. Now we're gonna install this armrest. There's some tabs that you need to line up underneath here. So slide in like that. Take our Phillips head screws, get that one started, then we'll get this one started. Phillips head screw, get that lined up down here. Snug that down. Take this trim cover. We'll line this up right here. And lock it in place. And take this Phillips head screw. Tighten this one here. And you should have another Phillips head screw there, but this vehicle doesn't have it. Put this cup holder cover on. Put this cup holder cover on. You may have to adjust the brakes when you're doing this repair. I'm just going to take a screwdriver and set them back. Just take it and loosen that there, and that's going to adjust the brakes. Just like that. All right, so the retainers that hold these cables on broke off because of the age of the vehicle. So I'm just going to use some cable ties. I'm going to re-secure this. Actually, I'll flip this upside down. Tighten that up, and I'll just do that with the other ones as well. All right, as you can see, our brake cables are all in position, and we're just gonna try them out. Go ahead and pull the lever, and that's how the e-brake actually works. It is gonna pull on this lever, which is gonna push on this bar here, which is gonna push on this shoe out and stop the drums from spinning. Take our drum, just line everything up. Make sure it spins. It's spinning nicely. If it's too tight, you're going to want to pull it off and adjust that automatic tensioner again. And then we're going to install our nut. All right, now we're going to snug this nut up before we torque it. Just want to keep spinning the bearing once in a while so that it seats properly. That's pretty good. I'm going to torque it now. So we're going to torque this. We're going to use a torque wrench, a 30mm socket. We're going to, like I said, keep spinning it once in a while as we're torquing it. We're going to torque this to 173 foot-pounds. Sometimes this is kind of difficult to do. That's spinning good. So our cap, when we pried it, it bent the cap a little bit. So I'm just going to use a hammer and just bend it back a little bit. A little bit more. Pretty good. I'll take a hammer and just tap it back in. This is just a dust cap. Just keep the elements out of that bearing area. And we'll do the same procedure for the other side. Now we're going to reinstall this heat shield since all the cables are installed. Slide it over the exhaust, like that. Line all the holes up. Install these retainers. I'm going to just snug these down with a 15/16 socket and a ratchet. Just snug, nothing too tight. I'm not going to be able to fit it in there. All right, that's installed and secure. Now we're going to reinstall the wheel. Line that up. Start these lug nuts. Right, now I'm going to snug these lug nuts up. We'll drop it down and torque it. All right, now I'm going to torque the lug nuts. Because we don't have any caps on ours are 18mm. I'm going to use a torque wrench. We actually sell these torque wrenches at 1aauto.com. I'm going to torque this to 98 foot-pounds in a star pattern. And the reason I'm going to do it in a star pattern or a cross pattern is it will tighten the wheel evenly. And we're good to go. You want to remember after you do this procedure, you're going to want to pump the brake pedal. That's going to reset the self-adjusters to where they're supposed to be. Make sure it feels good. And then you're going to check your tension on your e-brake. Make sure it works. If you have to adjust, you can pull that boot off again and tighten that 10mm screw accordingly.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at 1aauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.